What's up, everyone, and welcome to War Whiskey Podcast. My name is Justin Fisher. Hope everyone is staying safe in the snow. Today, we're talking about MLC. This is part 2 of my promotion series podcast. Part 1 was loaded promotion list. Big shout out to everyone that's hitting over 500 views on multiple streams. Well, actually, that's just Facebook. It's over in several different other categories, but I appreciate that. This is part 2. We're talking about the Master Leader course because it's a friction point in our state, and we're going to talk about why. And next, we'll be talking about the Senior Enlisted Council and what their role is in the promotions and movement of senior enlisted. So, MLC, what is it? Well, it's the professional military education required to pin on E8. It's new. It's relatively new. It's only about 4 years old. The intent of it is to deliver operations-capable master sergeants who can lead their organizations to fight and win in complex operational environments, where battalions maneuver in formations from division to corps level. I pulled that fancy saying off ncboardwide.army.mil. Really what that's saying is that they need senior enlisted personnel who can operate in a talk or jock environment. How do we get to this point? A lot of times on my shows, I'll talk about underdevelopment, bad mentorship, and things of that nature. It's not like I'm throwing shade. I'm stating the obvious fact. Our culture, we tend to try to gloss over everything. And really what it comes down to is bad leadership decisions and bad training decisions. We don't like to admit it as state, NGB, Army, military level. We don't really like to talk. We always like to gloss over. Well, we're just trying to find, something, we're just trying to add a little bit more to make sure we're getting the right people. But it really comes down to this: that they recognize that these senior enlisted were underdeveloped and they couldn't operate in their MOS or a talk environment, and now they're in positions where they're affecting the mission capable, units and operations and things of the processes, things of that nature. And really the validity from this comes to from the promotion list. I talk about the promotion list and actually the promotion criteria, the baseline. If you look at the baseline shaped and you look at how 5 years ago how we promoted people, and look at those people and just stack them up against the baseline. The people in your rank, stack them up, who had their rank from the old way to now. You'll see a drastic difference. And the Army, the Guard, and everybody in general has recognized the crap that we have these people who are underdeveloped. So we had to make sure that, and we can't really get rid of them. So we have to make sure the next level is developed. Because what these guys are doing, they're going to Sergeant Major's Academy and getting slaughtered on their papers and things of that nature, and they're hampering the operations process. And we really saw that in 2017-18 when we deployed to Kosovo. You see the underdevelopment of E8s and E9s in general. I worked in the 3 shop. I was fortunate to be around a really great E9, a really great E8, and man, it was just, you get to see the whole, you can consider and take a step back and look at wow, okay, this guy over here is terrible. How did you get your rank? And I've said that before in a podcast, but that's where the validity comes from, is when you get over there, units are using the time when you deploy, okay, well, now we're going to get them right. No, that's not it. We have to back it up and get them right before we get there. And what the Army's trying to do with this course is they're trying to help that process go on. They're trying to show NCOs that, hey, you need to be broadening your horizons. You need to be getting some college. You need to learn to write. You need to learn to articulate better. You can't just sit there and do nothing and basically, get your way through life like it used to be. Okay. What makes this course a friction point and what makes it unique is that all MOSs feed into it. So it's kind of like your Common Core, PLDC, BLC, WLC, and ALC Phase 1. So slots are limited. That's where the friction points start to come in. When this first came out, you had people and they had ATARS access. They were putting them into it and themselves into it and going through this course and sucking up all the seats and screwing other people because that's what our culture is. You'll screw over someone if you get a chance to. And unfortunately, that's it. And that's what was happening. So the state created this order of merit list where they control all the slots. And the friction point is that units can't just put someone into it. They can't just be like, oh, you want to go to MLC next week? Hey, cool. Or what? In third quarter, you can go. It's not how it works. Well, also what makes it unique is that it needs, kind of like Sergeant Major Camp, it needs a prereq paper. The Army makes you write a paper over the standard topics of like leadership, logistics, sharp, the same things that they always want your opinion on. They never ever listen to it. But what this paper does, it allows instructors to see you and figure out where your writing level is. And it doesn't count against you. It just allows them to see that, okay, Sergeant Fisher needs a little work on his APA and his sentence structure or something of that nature. And it just gives them something to go off of. If the instructors for MLC don't have your paper, they're not going to tell you how you're scoring or how you're doing because it's part of prereq. The OML dictates who goes, and I've heard this. I was in a barbershop and this guy was grappling about how he was on OML and I never seen him anywhere. And I asked him, I said, is your paper done? He said, well, no. I was like, well, and that's your problem. And here's what it comes down to. In the business of Army schools, there's always something called walk-ons. And what happens is that sometimes there's vacancies that come open. And if you know if your name is a no or they call your state or whatever, you can actually get walked onto a course. I mean, and that's how I went to MLC. My paper was ready. I let my training NCO know. I was a readiness NCO. I let my sergeant major know. I let everyone know. I even saw the G3 at the track and said, hey, look, my paper's ready to go. Just in passing. But everyone in my chain of command knew. My training NCO puts my name into the school. My sergeant major who I kind of worked for, things of that nature. My AO knew. Everyone knew I had my paper ready since May. August comes around. Hey, we got these 5 vacancies. Are you interested in one? Yes. Boom. My sergeant major was like, roger that. You can go. Because he knew how important it was. My training NCO was like, bro, I got you covered. We did our battle handoff. 2 weeks later, I was in Shelby, Mississippi with 5 other people because my paper was ready. And that's how you get around the OML. If your paper's ready, so what they're going to do is they're going to go down to OML. Hey, are you ready to go? Are you ready to go? If they get to the 3rd guy and his paper's ready, guess what? More likely, you're probably going to get picked over those first 2. You don't have to hire, no, my paper's not ready, but hey, this guy right here is ready to go. Because a lot of times these vacancies have timestamps on it. It may be like, I need someone ready to go into distance learning MLC in 3 days. Well, you may, or whatever it is. You may have if your paper's ready, you're going to be that guy. Send me your papers, I can send it down there. That's it right there. But if your paper's not ready, you don't have an argument because what you're going to be average. You're going to be like the rest of them, just waiting for, they're not going to send me to school. Well, you're number 117 on the list, and that's your OML for MLC too. So you've done nothing to get yourself ahead of everyone else. If you want to go MLC, you gotta make yourself marketable. You gotta have that paper done. It doesn't count against you. You're like, well, I don't know how to write an APA format. Well, luckily, if you type in al.purdue APA format, it brings it up. If you type in APA format in any type of search engine, it's going to bring up the one that MLC uses and that most colleges use. If you're going to college, you have no excuse because you already know how to write papers. You're like, well, I don't have the stuff. All you have to do is email someone who's been through the course or your training NCO, because the stuff for the paper requirement is proprietary use. You can just get it whenever you want to, or it's pretty much public use. I mean, everyone has it because they send it out because it's not testable. It's just a prereq. Write paper on this stuff. Have your paper ready. That's what you have to do. I had my paper ready in May, didn't go till August. I guarantee you, everyone I saw knew my paper was ready to go. As soon as I had my schedule arranged, as soon as they said yes, I went. Because that's the difference. MLC complete said, hey, he can promote, or he or she can promote to 8. I recently pushed the NCO. I pushed her through MLC. This is her first look at the list, and hopefully, I don't know, but she should pick up 8 this year off her first list because I pushed her through MLC. I made her get. She was on orders for a month. I badgered her every day to get her paper done, and she hated it. I was freaking just horrible, but she got it done, and she went to MLC. She did the distance learning. She knocked it out, and now it's she could be ready to go. And she thanked me later. She said, "Thank you for doing that." It's fine. You just do it for someone else. But that's the thing. You can't have an argument about MLC if you don't do the work up front. You have to change the narrative. If you want to be average, you're going to wait for all the average people to go ahead. Just going to wait. 116 people go ahead of you to MLC. But if you want to be above and show that you're ready for the next rank, you got to take care of yourself. You got to get in that fight. You got to get in that fight and get up there. When I went through MLC, I went to the resident course. That means I went to Shelby, Mississippi. They have various locations, and they also have distance learning. Because of COVID, a lot of times it's been distance learning now. However, when everything opens back up and they start going back to resident, and I'm saying this right here, if it doesn't hurt you, like as far as promotion wise or anything like that, if it's going to be like, well, if I go to a resident, I won't make the promotion list this year. Or if I do distance learning, I'll be, it'll help me on the promotion list. Make that decision, okay? If you haven't been in a course in a long time, I encourage you to go to the schoolhouse and do it. Here's why. I'm one of those people who likes to go to schools. I like to get to a school and I like to immerse myself in that environment. When I went to MLC, as I said, I was down there with several other Arkansas people. I went down there and basically, got myself there, got away from air. I was a radio assistant, got away from all that. I had great training in CO. He was handling everything. I checked in, I didn't abandon him, but all that was going on. And I got myself down there and just immersed in the process. And if this is how I did it, is you gotta put the work in. And at the time I was taking 12 hours of college. So I was also taking 12 hours of college while going through MLC at Camp Shelby. So I brought an extra monitor with me as I did all my courses. I set up on my little desk, set my little work area, and every day I would take notes during class like I will in the test. I would write out my notes exactly like how I will in the test. Because really, what the course is over is not only is it paper writing, but you're regurgitating almost verbatim everything that the instructor is covering from the FM. So I would write my notes exactly the method that they would teach it. So by the time I got off that day, I've already written my notes for the test 4 or 5 times. On test day, the day before the test, we do our final review and I get out. I would eat chow and come back. I would do homework for my college classes from 1800 to 2000. Then I would write my notes 2000 to 2300. My notes, I would write it by hand. I would time myself. I would write by hand. Then I would type it out, and I'd figure out the differences in that. I would type it. I would type it about 4 times in that 3-hour span, simply for the fact that I was trying to get my timing down. Because a lot of times with these courses is that you run out of time when you're taking it. And I was sitting there, and this is just residential, and the deal. And if you want tips on the DL, I would ask someone who's went through it. I did this for residential or resident course. I would sit there in time and figure out the different ways I could save time on while I was writing it. I would like Control E instead of clicking center and things of that nature. Just trying to get down to how much time I would have per subject, because usually it's 5 or 6 subjects you got to write out. I would do that to 2300. I would sleep till 02. I would get up and I would rewrite my notes again over and over and over. By the time I got to chow that morning at 7 or at 6, whatever, I'd already written my notes probably 10 or 12 times. Then when I took the test, it was just simple regurgitation. I've written all the subjects so many times, and I had the sequence down of how I was going to do it. I wrote it down perfect, and I got honor grad because of the work ethic. People are like, I didn't, that's how I do it. lot of that was because of my competitiveness, and a lot of it was because I was also taking 12 hours of college while I was down there, also doing papers on that while I was there. The key tips of this is you got to put the work in. You can handle it, even if you have never taken a college class. You can handle it. You can do it. Do not plagiarize. If you get caught plagiarizing any work, it's going to ruin your career, basically. I mean, it could pretty much ruin your career. Don't land very fully. Don't try to outsmart it. There's several different checkers they're going to run it through. Don't try to cheat the system. This is also for distant learning too. Put the time in, put the work in. This is your career you're talking about. If you think you should be the next E8, you got to put the time in. You got to put the time in, and you got to show them. And what it's about, it's about controlling the narrative. And I said it in the last podcast. I control my narrative because I've done everything. If I didn't get common analysis or honor grad at MLC, then I wouldn't be able to control my narrative because I slipped up. Control your narrative. That's what you have to do. You want to get that 6 on that board, get common, exceed the core standards. And there's a lot more things you have to do in group work and things of that nature. But do your part. Put the work in. If you control your narrative, that's on state now. They have, what I'm saying, because now you have an argument. Hey, I've done everything. And that also goes for broadening assignments and things of that nature. And if you're trying to get into the operations cell, I talked to someone the other day, and he was like, his goal, always think 2 steps ahead. You need to be looking at getting some broadening assignments, get some operations time, because that's where a lot of people are hurting at. But you have to put the work in, and MLC, you have to do it. You can't sit there and grab about they're holding you back when you're not doing your job. Do your pre-reg paper, have that thing loaded. Let people know it's loaded. Make them deny you. Well, I'm not going to send you. Well, why? If they have a valid point, they have a valid point. Some people are not eligible for MLC, things of that nature. However, if you are eligible and you're sitting there grappling for no reason, then, the shit's on you. Do your damn job. Have your paper ready. Show them that you want to be an E8. Then go out there and ball out. When I went to the course, I had told everyone there, day one, in a room full of NCOs and some of my peers, I said, look, I don't care. This is my seat, which is the number 1 seat. I don't care where you sit at. I don't care where you are. You can figure out 2 through 6. I'm going to be number 1. That was day one. I didn't know anybody. It could have been the guy who invented the course and that thing. I just knew that I put that pressure on me because I just knew what I was going to do. And the very last day when I walked up there and I was like, hey, move over. Because I knew I was ready. I knew what I had to do. Now, is that healthy? Hell no. I lost 15 pounds in that course. Don't do that. But that's how I work. I'm very competitive like that. But I also want them to know, this dude right here wants that next rank. He wants to be a leader. He wants that influence. And he wants to be, that's what he wants. So you have to show that. If you don't, there's no excuse for grappling. You're just going to be at the list for a long time. All right. I'm Justin Fisher, signing off.